Well, that was the news. Now stand by for SuperCoach Paige. Tonight, Jobe Watson and that collarbone.
Thanks for that, Peter.
And welcome to the episode of the SuperCoach Paige Show. I'm Paige.
I'm Matt.
I'm Damon.
And we are back for round 16, and there is plenty to get through tonight. Plenty of stuff to talk about, especially with Jobe Watson and that collarbone. But look, we have to start off proceedings, and where would we be without you not losing again? Because this has just become
Number 6.
This
Yes.
is number 6 now,
Number
isn't
6.
it? So
You wouldn't have the laughs.
it's
But we have the laughs.
But we do have the
You
laughs.
do because I provide them.
It's fantastic because there's nothing better now on the Sunday night when this guy tweets to us all and says, well, scores everyone and you are the last one to reply.
I thought I was in a very good position to beat you this week because you fielded Tom Lee.
I did. I
Who is
fielded Tom Lee. Now, I fielded Ben Kennedy last week. He was the sub and Tom Lee wasn't named. But when I heard that when Kennedy was the sub this week, I thought, all right, Tom Lee, stand and deliver.
It's your time,
It's your time, son.
Yeah.
Step up. And he did. And he came onto the field for me and he was fantastic. Although he scored 60-odd points, doesn't matter.
Pretty good.
Better than the 13 that Ben Kennedy delivered.
Suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
What did you actually score, Damon?
I scored 2,296.
So very good score, but not good enough. What did you score?
I had 2,359.
And 2,368 for me, so I'm the king again.
Boom.
And
We're not losers. That's the main
we're not
thing.
losers. And another really good thing, my man, Joshy Saunders. It was appreciation round last week.
Well done.
And we got him a game, and he scored very well for us.
So
Price rise of 18,100.
look out.
It's just going to go up.
We gave him that
exponentially.
rocket that he needed, I think. The
He's
coach
next,
wasn't enough.
He's the next Ablett, really. Like there's no doubt.
doubt that. Look, let's be honest. He will win a Brownlow one day.
He will be a household name.
He's carrying the number, the special 35 number at St Kilda. So that means anything. Brownlow's in order. Not a flag, but a Brownlow. But a Brownlow is the main thing.
Definitely.
Let's crack right onto it.
Talking
point of the week.
Jobe Watson.
Jobe Watson and that shoulder, as Pete said.
Well, he's got
Watson.
110,000 coaches have him. I'm not one of them, luckily.
Plus the 15,000 who in the last 24 hours have jumped off him since SuperCoach has been open. Yes.
Wow.
24,000 have already jumped off him.
So that's 1/3 of the competition that had him. They were saying originally about 4 weeks, but now it's been upgraded to 6 to 8. But I've heard something really bad. It could be actually a lot longer than that. Sometime between 6 months and 2 years that he could be out of the game for. And that'd be.
You're just. You had me going there.
I know.
Like, really? What's he done?
Well, he could. You never know.
This
No,
is terrible.
it's just
We're not
because
here
you
to
don't have him.
We're not here to give a running commentary on the Jobe Watson saga or the Essendon side. Oh, I'm sorry, Essendon supporters. Look, those of you who know me out there know that I like a good joke.
Yeah. But,
no malice intended, but...
It's not very good for Essendon though, because in the past, few years, he missed 6 games in 2011, and the Bombers only won 3 of those. And prior to that, in the 7 games that he missed between 2007 and 2010, Essendon lost all of them. So
that is a big stat.
Yeah, and he was, almost favourite to win the Brownlow at this before he got injured.
Yep.
You don't take out a Brownlow potential winner and not suffer, quite considerably.
Well, as you said, it is such a massive thing to happen because we are so close now to finals, and most people have their teams sorted, and people have run out of, or just about have run out of trade. So there is such a big emphasis now on what we're going to do with Jobe. Do we wait for a bit? Do we trade him this week? And we're going to go through and discuss the options, but.
Well, you've got 3 trades.
I'm one of those people, yes. I've got 3 trades left, and it's kind of been the curse of me, I think, ever since I've gotten below the 5 trade mark. Last week had to deal with Birchland, this week now Watson as well. So
and the guys
you've brought in,
they haven't been doing that well either. Minson and Nat Nui have been...
Yeah, Nat Nui, I got Hanley in though for Birchland, so he wasn't too bad. Yeah. But one guy you should be keeping is the young gun, Tom Mitchell. We place a big emphasis on bench cover, and it goes to show if you got him this week and you've got Watson, he's going to be awesome cover.
And he plays GWS as well.
GWS this week he does, and he's got a projected score of 100 against the Giants. So you're looking pretty good there if you can afford to cover Watson with Mitchell. He scored 87, 126, 84, 99 and 106 in his first 5 games. So he's not just one of those rookies that you just have languishing on your bench. He can come in and he can deliver a good score.
Yep.
And there was quite a unique fact about him as well. Is that right?
Yes, he's recorded at least 15 disposals, 5 tackles and a goal in his first 5 career games, which is only been done by him since stats have been recorded. So there you go. That's a big stat.
Yeah, it's definitely a big stat.
That's ridiculously good. He'll be an absolute star one day in this beautiful caper of SuperCoach. And look, we've got to discuss a few options because now people are asking us, well, who should I trade him to? Now, most people, and I say most, already have a full midfield and they've already got the likes of, a lot of different players. But we're going to go through 6 options. I'm going to kick it off. Now, Joel Selwood is probably the most prolifically spoken about player this week. 528,000, he is a straight swap. So, number one, you're only using one trade, which is going to suit more people than not. But he has, in my opinion, had some very erratic scoring of late. Now, let's go through the last 2 months of his scores. 151, 54, 135, 137, 73, 91, 83 and 100. Now that's his past 2 months. Now that is very up and down.
Yep.
That is I would say inconsistent.
Yeah.
So
especially from a midfielder. The midfielders you want below 90 and you really get pissed off.
You've also got to remember as well that Joel Selwood last year was the only player for the entirety of the SuperCoach season who only dropped below 100 on one occasion. So from a consistency point of view, last year he was fantastic. He was in my team last year, but this year I haven't gone near him. And it's on that fact alone that I'm tending to steer clear from Joel Selwood. But on the upside, Geelong have the upcoming, so there's only 4 games left of the SuperCoach season before we head to finals. Those 4 games leading to finals, Geelong play Melbourne, Adelaide, St Kilda and North Melbourne, which is very, very good. Now in the finals, they've got Port Adelaide, West Coast, Sydney and Brisbane. And 3 out of those 4 games in the finals are at Simonds Stadium, including the final 2 games of the year.
Yeah.
So if you're on the prelim, or if you've missed out on the prelim and you've gone straight for the grand final, you've got Geelong at home.
Yeah.
That's what you've got to think about. So looking forward to finals.
And there's a really interesting stat about him as well that we'll cover at the end of the show as well, just about his record at Simonds, especially against Melbourne, who they're up against this week. But
yep, exactly.
We'll cover that a bit later.
And while we're here anyway, Joel Selwood this year, for a SuperCoach point of view, especially for points, because remember, players get lots of points for free kicks for, not against. Joel Selwood has had 21 free kicks paid for head high.
I wonder why that is.
Which, I know, funny that in 2013, and nobody else in the competition has won more than 14.
Yeah.
So
big start.
That is ridiculously big. So when it comes to obviously having Selwood,
weak knees.
That number, weak knees, duck in the head.
Yep, no neck.
That will come into consideration. But another player we have all been thinking about now, it's sort of mind-boggling how people haven't got him earlier, but we're still getting a lot of questions about him. Dane Swan. Now, bumper game on the weekend. He had 42 touches. That hasn't been done since Nathan Buckley in 2003, I think, from a Collingwood point of view. So just goes to show how long that record stood for at Collingwood. Is the last 3 games average of 123, although his average at the moment is 116. So the last 3 weeks in particular is really bumped up. We knew he was on the bubble. He was very low.
Yeah, it was cheap a few weeks ago.
Probably about a month ago. And a lot of people got onto him, but most straight away.
Yeah.
But he has had a whopping 7 scores over 130 this year. So when Dane Swan goes to work, he goes to work. They are some big scores. So
you've got erratic scorers like Swan, but it's good. It's all right if they're a little bit erratic if they pump out those 130 plus scores.
7 scores of 130 this year. Now I can't even think of any other player
apart from Ablett,
maybe,
and probably Pendlebury
that
have been able to replicate that as well.
Yeah.
But that's
a bit unusual for Swan, I think, because over the years he is pretty consistent in his scoring. He's not just a high scorer; he's a consistent scorer as well.
Yeah, exactly. Look, and again, Pies have got Adelaide, Gold Coast, GWS and Essendon for the next 4 upcoming games. And then the Pies, they do have a tough run home in the last month. So for SuperCoach finals, keep this in mind. Sydney, Hawthorn, West Coast and North Melbourne last 4 games. So Sydney and Hawthorn will probably be interesting, but I would back Collingwood to beat West Coast and North Melbourne. That's your prelim in your grand final.
Yep.
And look, just for those that need to know, Swanee's last 5 games have recorded scores of 131, 148, 149, 73 and 148. So
and he's still below 600,000
and
as well.
he is still under 600k. So I mean, he's priced at 590 at the moment, and that's probably at least a good 100,000 cheaper than what he was at the start of the year.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about Scotty Pendlebury, my man who I had since the start of the year. Priced at 636 at the moment, averaging 128, which is enormous. Last 3 games, the average of 137, so massively consistent scores. Yeah, definitely. And like you said before, he's only missed out on scoring 100 plus once this year, and that was a 96. So very good. And that was against Fremantle as well. And they've got Crowley, who can just lock down defenders. Sorry, not defenders, lock down midfielders. And him and Ablett are the only ones that have done that this year. So like you said, in the finals, they play Sydney, Hawthorn, West Coast and North. So not a great run home, but you'd still keep with him because he's a star.
Yeah. Well, he's scored, like you said, that he's only scored once below 100 this year. So that's his safest houses. So when he plays the big teams, it's not like he's doing Stevie J and beating up on the bottom teams.
Yeah.
He still scores very highly and well against the big clubs.
He tends to stand up when it really does matter in the games. And Ryan Griffin as well. He's a little bit more expensive than Pendlebury, but for a very good reason. His form recently has been outstanding. 107 only on the weekend, but you say only for 107.
I know, only.
It's the lowest score he's had in the past 6 weeks. Previous scores being 136, 176, 129, 143, 148.
You're joking.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
That is out of this world.
If you could jump on him before that, like if I could go back in time and do that.
6 weeks ago?
That'd be pretty amazing. He does have a relatively high break even just because of that low 107 that he scored. 159 is the break even at the moment. So if you can wait a few weeks to maybe trade him in, although if he's scoring these kind of scores now, then why would you wait? You want to get him in now.
Exactly.
And last 3 round average 132, faces Essendon, Hawthorn, West Coast and Sydney in the final 4 weeks. So again, not the easiest run home, especially for the Dogs who are kind of struggling at the moment. They barely got over the line against GWS.
Griffin I think he looks to me like he's relishing a lot more I guess responsibility and ownership in that midfield, and Boyd's been sort of up and down this year. Cooney again is resided to the forward line or he's out. Griffin, I mean, he's still in his mid-20s. He looks to be controlling that midfield. If you look at transition play with the Bulldogs, anytime they are doing something constructive, it is either in the hands or it has been in the hands of Ryan Griffin. Yeah,
and like I said, those 4 weeks leading into finals are kind of tough, but the Dogs' run in the actual finals are quite good. We've got Carlton, Adelaide, Brisbane and Melbourne. So Melbourne Grand Final, pretty juicy.
Is appealing, isn't it?
It is. And another player to look at potentially is Michael Barlow. He's priced at 604,000. Is he your man?
He's my man.
He's your man. Another
Nicky
your
D.
man. So many guys of yours.
I know. I've got 5 as well.
Frio. He's averaging 114 and he's got a break even of 115. And his lowest score in 6 weeks was on the weekend where he scored 106 against the Saints, which was kind of unusual because he's been in some pretty solid form leading up to then with scores of 108, 119, 138, 141, 115, 151 and 104.
Very happy. So
all over 100 and mid-hundreds there, so pretty decent. And Fremantle, they face West Coast, Richmond, Adelaide, Carlton in the final 4 games of the SuperCoach season, which is a bit varied, but then as he comes into the finals, he's got GWS, Melbourne, Port Adelaide and the Saints. So that's the time to jump on, I think. If not now, which I think, he's been in really good form apart from on the weekend.
So you could say that people could actually hold on to Jobe Watson until the end of the SuperCoach finals and then go bang and get in Barlow.
Exactly, yeah.
And
you need to have good coverage to do that because you're playing on premium down. But
you might need to do that because, with coaches really wanting to rest their gun players before the actual final series, not the SuperCoach finals. With a team like St Kilda, for example, in the last game of the season, you probably don't need to win that. It really depends on what does happen with the Essendon saga because you've got 5 teams trying to get into the top 4 at the moment.
Yep.
So if Essendon do get their points stripped, for example, then Barlow could probably afford to be sat. But if not, they're really going to have to be fighting for every single game.
Yeah.
It'll be a very, very interesting.
And if you hold off on Jobe as well, I think over those 4 weeks, the initial diagnosis for Jobe was 4 weeks, as we said, and he may come back. You never know, so it may even pay off in that respect.
There's been a lot of things with players coming back sooner than expected this year, except for Beau Waters, who's been out for consistent times. Don't say
I'm
it.
not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
And the last person we've got.
The last guy is Stevie J. He's priced at 575, 400. So he was pretty steep, but he's kind of come down a little bit now. He's averaging 116 with a break even of 122, and he was suspended for 2 weeks. So it was a bit silly and stuffed me right up because I actually wanted to trade to him and instead had to opt for Nick Nat.
Yep.
And he's gone Scheisenhausen ever since I got him.
Wow.
But Stevie J, he plays Melbourne this weekend, actually, where he scored 169 and 199 in his last 2 encounters against them.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to welcoming him back with open arms this week.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that I think out of all these players...
When did Geelong play this week?
No idea.
Don't know. Producer? Saturday.
There you go.
Okay.
He's got his voice on camera.
Right. So, could be a possible loophole.
Yeah. I think out of all these players, probably Griffin, Pendles, Stevie J still tops the list for me because of that. That's just massive. And his lowest score of the year has been 75, which was against Carlton in round 3. So
Sounds a while ago.
he's been a solid scorer. And his next 4 games, he's got Melbourne on the weekend, Adelaide, the Saints, and North. And then in the finals, he's got Port, West Coast, Sydney, and Brisbane. With 5 of those games to come at Simmons Stadium.
And on that as well, I mean, a lot of people have said, okay, well, we know who the big guns are, we know who's scoring well, and we know who we should be getting in, but who is someone that's going to offer us an edge or obviously a point of difference, so a bit of uniqueness. Now, although we're trying to get the big guns in, the best players in, those that are going to be consistently scoring well, there is a forgotten man.
There is
Dane Beams. Now, this is a bit of a long stretch, and I know for some people are going to go, what is she talking about? Now, on the weekend, for those of you who have been living under a rock, Dane Beams did come back via the VFL reserves and had an outstanding game. He had 28 disposals, 8 tackles, 2 goals, one of which was the match winner, and ended up scoring 139 SuperCoach points for his efforts. So, astounding game on the weekend. Now, Nathan Buckley's already said that this week that he's expecting Dane Beams to line up Friday night against Adelaide for the first game of the year for him. Not someone that you'd probably want to play in the twos very long. We saw Cyril Rigoli just come straight back into the thick of things after being out for 6-7 weeks. Dane Beams will do the same.
Beams had a quad, didn't he? Is that what
Beams, look, the issue that's been with Collingwood is that it went from on the eve of round 1, he had a strained quad. Came back to training. Now, there was reports that he tore that quad, only slightly. When that healed, he experienced a bit more, obviously, issues with it again, another strain. It wasn't another tear. And then since then, Collingwood have been just incredibly ultra cautious with their Copeland medalist, and that's why we've seen him. I mean, he's been in full training at the club. It's not like he's just come back the last couple of weeks. He's been at full training for the last 4 to 5 weeks. So he's been ready. It's just a sense of monitoring that, giving him that time in the VFL.
Seeing if they are cautious.
Yeah, and that's pleasing news as well if you want to jump on him straight away. He's got that fitness there, which is really
it. And I think that, again, we said that if you're willing to hold on to Jobe Watson and you have that coverage, and I think Tom Mitch was a fantastic person to step right in and to fill that void for the time being. If you have that patience and that you're well placed in your leagues or something like that, then Dane Beams, for me, give him 2 weeks to obviously figure out where his price is going to fluctuate, because he is priced very highly. He's still the second highest priced player and he still hasn't played a game this year. So In saying that, I would expect him to fluctuate a bit, to drop in price, and then you can pick him up for a bit cheaper. But on the other hand, I would probably assess his form this week.
Yep. Wait 1 week at least.
Dane Beams is a quality and class player, and I would probably say that even next week you could probably look to bring him in, depending on how he goes this week, because then the Pies are playing Gold Coast and GWS back to back.
Yep.
So about right for Collingwood to bring him in to run into form.
Could you even bring him in approaching finals, or even like on the cusp of finals?
I would say so.
So like upgrading, say for example, like if you don't have your midfield set with all premiums and you've still got like someone like, I don't know, Tom Mitchell in there, who I don't think you should upgrade anyway, but if you wanted to, he could be someone to upgrade to for that point of difference.
Yeah, there's no reason why you couldn't, but I think that, as we said, is that most people have got their midfields set and they're locked in and they're done, and Jobe Watson's thrown a spanner in the works, and some people are using this as a way to go, well, I missed the boat on Griffin, I missed the boat on Barlow, Sam Mitchell, Joel Selwood, these types of guys. So people are looking at it as a way to bring those players in they've missed out on originally. So those that don't have Gary Ablett are obviously now seeing this as the perfect way to get Gary Ablett.
I'm going to wait.
Yeah. He's still going to wait.
But I think, honestly, Dane Beams might offer something. I'll be interested to see how he scores this week. I wouldn't say that he'd be the sub.
Yeah. And you can use that bench cover in the meantime with Tom Mitchell.
Well, he did play 90% of game time on the weekend in the two. So it wasn't a player half, we'll manage you, play you next week and the week after and run you into some form. They played him knowing he was fully fit.
Right.
So it'd be interesting to see that one.
Yeah. And on the topic of Tom Mitchell, we've got keeper rookies as our next big segment. Brett Goods was one that we can really look at as, like, we're going to discuss 6 people, and they're the ones that can really just stay in your side and just provide you solid cover for the rest of the season, because it is leading up to actual finals, not just SuperCoach finals, and clubs are going to rest players. It's a given.
And it's also good, for those of you out there that are low on trades and had intentions of upgrading Staker or Turlick or these sorts of players, and are now probably thinking about keeping them because they're limited on trades.
I was going to keep him anyway. Hasn't stuffed me up at all.
Kick us off.
No, it's Brett Goods to start off. That's Damon's, I think.
Yes, Brett Goods, he's averaging 90, and his last 3, he's averaging 87, so he's still been thereabouts, despite, I think, did he have a week or two?
A week off with the wrist.
A week off with the wrist, yep.
Which is actually when I traded him out. But if you still got him, his last 4 scores, he scored 111, 61, 90 and 96. So I think he still provides that solid cover, whether or not you got him in the in defence or in the middle as well. I definitely keep him at this stage, especially like if you're like me and you're only down to subpar 5 trades, then you've got to keep him.
3.
And Dean Turlick as well is one that's really impressed in the past few weeks. I got rid of him in Melbourne's buy-in around 12, but he's averaging 80 over the whole season, and the past 3 weeks 105, which is ridiculous. 119, 107, 88 and 88 in the week before that. So very consistent scoring by Turlick. Kind of wish I didn't trade him out.
I traded him out when he was about that 360, 370k mark.
When he hit his peak, we thought.
When we thought, and I traded him down to Staker. But, like for a like, I guess.
Yeah, and another one, the probable rising star winner, I think, is your man to talk about.
Jager O'Meara. Now, a lot of people, we said this about 5 weeks ago during the buys, that O'Meara was one to upgrade ahead of the round 13 buy. He's played every game this year. He has had an incredible average, anywhere between 90 and 105 throughout the entire season. It hasn't dipped below 90 whatsoever. Currently at 91, last 3 average of 101, so that's basically on par with what I just said. Last 4 scores, 82, 107, 116 and 90. So he is scoring emphatically well.
Mr. Consistent.
I would probably say he's a shoo-in for the rising star.
Definitely, yeah.
But he's been over the top fantastic. And another player as well in the rucks. Now, one for me. And
your second
I
one.
love this guy.
Starting
now, you guys will know that I have been looking for a second ruck. I'm going to upgrade. I had intentions to upgrade Nichols, but given how consistently good he's been, I'm going to keep him unless things really go to crap. And
It's not looking like it.
He doesn't look like slowing down either. Average of 97. Okay, last 3 games of 86. Now his last 4 scores have returned 99, 84, 76 and 139. So given that, he is now in the top echelon of rucks, in the top 3 rucks.
Which is surprising, very surprising. He only debuted, I think, 5 or 6 games ago?
Yeah, about
so
that.
It's amazing to think that he's actually averaging that.
I think he debuted just before the buys.
Yeah, I think he went up in price just before the round 13 buy, so a lot of people couldn't get him he went up in price in round 12, and then a lot of people weren't bringing him in after the buy just because it would really muck them up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, bad for those that didn't get on the boat.
Yes.
But another one that a lot of people did at the start of the year.
Another one is Mark Blitzarves.
The Blitz.
The Blitz man.
The producer loves him.
I've still got him as he's fist pumping behind the camera. I've got the Blitz. I've still got him as my my emergency bench cover.
Yep.
He's averaging 65. He's kind of dipped. He did have a patch there where it was a purple patch pretty much, where he was performing quite well. His last 3, he's averaged 75, and his last 4 scores, he's scored 81, 51, 93, and 107.
Yeah.
So he's been fluctuating, but I definitely wouldn't keep him as like a second ruck, starting ruck. I'd keep him as a
third.
As a bench coverage,
yeah. If you have a lot of trades, I think he's not going to get any higher than price than he is. For someone that's averaging 65,
definitely.
His price is enormous.
I think if you've got the trades up his sleeve, then you can probably afford to downgrade him to enough.
Yeah,
and use his cash.
Yeah, either the complete rookie that's never going to play, but it's going to get you the most money, or Liam McBean from Richmond, who's the cheapest dual position.
And he's been playing well in the VFL.
He has, hasn't he? Yeah.
So he made
something in like the top 10 goal kickers, which is pretty good for a beanpole. So.
Yeah.
And Brent Staker is the last one. Average of 80, last 3 average of 90. So very good from him.
That's why he's my last defender on field.
He's forward for me, which is, great field position swapping.
Yep.
110, 77, 85 and 53. 53 was kind of off, but you probably weren't playing him at that time anyway. And he was so good on the weekend. He was bringing real contested marking into the Lions forward line. Keep him. I would not trade him.
He will not move out of that side whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us now to tweet of the week. Make sure that you are tweeting to us using the SCP show hashtag and get your questions to us to be on this show. And of course, we will always reply back to your tweets anyway. So get tweeting to us. Now, I'm going to kick things off. I've got David Tran who has tweeted in. Now, David has asked, who is a good downgrade option for Blitzarves? So...
Can't cover that though. But
well, it's interesting. If you're going to use obviously Blitzarves, you sound like someone who's probably got a few trades up your sleeve. Jonathan Siegler. They really. He was at Collingwood for quite a while, and for some odd reason got cut last year. I don't understand why. I never will. But made his debut a couple of weeks ago for the Hawks down in Launceston and showed plenty. Takes good marks, very good at the hit outs. Surprisingly mobile and agile for a big guy.
Yeah.
Reminds me of a Goldstein sort of type mould.
Yeah. And Sam Grimley's also on the bubble still.
And exactly, and that was the next person I was going to bring up, is Grimley is still on the bubble also. So any of those guys, I think. But if you're going to use Blitzarves to downgrade someone too and use their money, I'd even just go to bargain basement, very bottom, someone like Craig Moller from Fremantle who's injured at 96k and won't play, but you can use his cash. But just keep in mind that obviously if you need to call upon that bench player, you're not going to have one.
Blitz is pretty consistent.
So Blitzarves is consistent. It really depends on what you're using that money for, but if you had to downgrade, I'd use one of the Hawthorn guys.
Yep. Mine is from Alex. Hi, Alex. He's asking 2 questions. One, would Hanley be too risky to bring in because he gets tagged? You just have to take that risk because when he doesn't get tagged or when...
He's been fantastic for the last 2 weeks.
He's been absolutely fantastic, yeah. When he doesn't get tagged or when he's just able to break it, he's absolutely phenomenal. So I would bring him in personally. Second question, Levi Greenwood, should I bring him in? 300,000, break-even of -8 and an average of 93 just for the money. No, because this is the kind of time that you want to be finalising your midfield.
Yep.
If one of your 8 midfielders, if all of your 8 midfielders aren't in the top 15 for scoring mids for the year, there's probably a problem.
You're going to get found out.
Yeah, you're going to get found out. You need to have all of those guys scoring 100 plus every week, even 110, you could, make a decent case for. So yeah, take the advice. Better listen.
And I've got a tweet from Ben Morn, who asks, "What should I consider doing with Tom Mitchell? Is he a season-long keeper, or should I trade him out at some point?"
Good question.
Now, we spoke about it briefly. He's definitely a keeper. Got to keep him.
Yeah.
With his scoring output, he's not just cover to me. I think he's a reliable scorer. He's not like any other rookie. He's going to come in, and he's scored 87, 126, 84, 99, and 106. So that was in his past 5 games, and to score his lowest score of 84, that's massive from a rookie.
And just think about it. Who have the Sydney Swans got that can be tagged ahead of Tom Mitchell? They've got
that's right.
Josh Kennedy, Ryan O'Keefe, Kieran Jack, Dan Hanbury. I mean,
he's not going to get the attention.
Luke Parker's still ahead
Luke
of him,
Parker.
and
a lot of good players there.
God, they're running deep. They are.
And he provides adequate midfield cover, which I think is more important than generating cash and using him as a cash cow, especially at this time of year. With trades running low, and you've definitely got to keep him, I think. And as we saw this week, how valuable he is with Watson. I've got Watson, and Mitchell's just going to slide right in and take his place, and hopefully score about 100.
But even in saying that, like we said, is that there is now a likelihood that as we edge closer to the end of the season, so we're speaking more predominantly here about the SuperCoach finals, teams are going to rest key players going into finals, and majority of them are going to be either key position forwards or midfielders.
Yep.
So you probably are going to have to call upon, unfortunately, and I'm going to say this now, and I'll be happily be proven wrong, but you're probably going to have to call on Tom Mitchell during the SuperCoach finals, because one of your premiums are going to be rested.
Yep.
I really do believe that. We see that every year it happens. It's not something that's caught on. And again, reverting to what you said earlier about you could be upgrading Mitchell to another premium to sit on your bench in that event that it happens. Of course, you'd only do that if you've got the luxury of X amount of trades. If you do, that'd give you a massive leg up on the competition for sure. But again, you have to watch at the end of the year.
I don't like having money sitting on the bench. That's the thing.
Yeah, me either.
Exactly.
I don't like it either.
And he's scoring that well that I think, despite being a rookie, his place in the side has been cemented. He's not going to go out that side.
Now, we mentioned a fact about Geelong for this weekend in particular.
We've got some great tips this week.
Especially for captain options. Go show us, Paige.
Well, look, we're going to kick things off with Geelong. Now, you said earlier that Stevie J had 166 and 199 last 2 scores against Melbourne. Well, try this for size. Stevie J and Joel Selwood have averaged 150 SuperCoach points against Melbourne since 2009 at Simmons Stadium.
Wow.
You cannot go past that.
Yeah,
that is 5 years of 150 average.
Yep.
That is unheard of.
That's very solid.
So all of a sudden, people that have got Jobe Watson and thinking, who am I going to trade him to, are probably going to take that and go, bam, Yolsa.
Yep. Or Stevie, because Stevie can go into the midfield as well. So a very good option there. Mine's about Nathan Van Berlo and how effective he's been in recent times. He's got a very good tagging record. When he's played on his opponents in the past 4 weeks, he's kept them to 16 or fewer possessions. So he might not have played on them for the whole match. And this is Hanbury, Delidio, Ablett and Gaff. But when he was on them, they only got 16 or fewer disposals. So it's very good.
Where are those players again?
Hanbury, Delidio, Ablett and Gaff. So very good players.
Well, Delidio's been very good all year. Hanbury's in a Brownlow fancy.
Yep.
So
Ablett is Ablett.
Well, Ablett, you don't need to say him, but that's
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very good record. And they play the Pies this weekend, and he tends to go to Pendlebury when he faces up against them. So maybe avoid Pendlebury this week. He's had a very good record in recent times, but maybe go with Swan or someone else. Even Ablett would be a very good option.
Or I'd be vice captaining Swan just as the loophole option.
Because they play the Friday night, so you've got plenty of time.
Yeah. Usually, the thing is they usually tag Pendles over Swan and let Swan run free. So it might work in the favour of those who've got Swan. And I've got a fact about Gazza, which is probably no surprise. Come up against your mob this weekend. You guys are still winless against Gold Coast, which is hilarious in itself.
North.
It was an aberration.
But in his past 7 matches against the Tigers, he's averaged 142.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
142.
Gaz loves us. We can't play against fast midfielders. We can't tag them. Jackson's too slow, and we don't have anyone else other than maybe White. But he's actually been quite good defensively. So.
147.
And word is that he's going to take his place on the side this week. And
I would be too if I had an average of 147 against bloody Richmond.
Which is pleasing because I've got to, I think, put him as the captain.
Yeah. You'd have to. I'm going to VC. Look, because I can VC on Swan and captain on Gaz.
Yep. Well, that's another show. Round 16 Supercoach, the Josh Saunders work.
Well done,
yes.
Joshy Saunders. We're so proud of you. And now it's back to you, Peter, in the studio.